I'm good. Welcome to the Buck and Mike Experience.
Experience sports like you never have before.
Where the buck stops
And the mic drops.
Bam.
Bam.
Someone called me out on the word bam the other day, and I forgot that we actually say the word bam in our intro. He goes, I heard y'all intro, and I just was like, no. And I was like, we don't say that. And then I went back and I went, oh shit, we do say that. Oh well. What's going on?
With it.
I don't either. It literally is our name. What's going on, buddy? How was your week?
It was a fun week.
It's nice.
I'm glad it's kind of settling down in the middle of the week. About to be the end. Going to the weekend, relax and chill.
Yeah, it was definitely it's been a wild week for sure. Saturday played 4 games of softball, won all those, and then won into Sunday, played some co-ed league, and some pretty crazy stuff happened there. I don't want to get into too much detail, but then more games on Monday, and then my little league team played Tuesday. I think the last thing I wanted to do was look at anything round and yellow. I was so worn out. My little league team would have had their first win, but I made a coaching error. I have to own it. I forgot the game was timed, and so I decided to be aggressive and send a runner home, and she got thrown out at home plate, and it was all my fault. I should have held her up and should have taken the chances, but I mean, they're 8 years old, and the girl coming up already had 2 hits. I was playing the odds that she probably wasn't going to get a 3rd hit in the game.
Dang.
So, look, I was trying.
What's up, Dylan Ray?
But yeah.
What's up, Dylan
Oh, I forgot to forgot to mute my computer there, so. All right. Well, it is the last recording Wednesday before the draft, right?
Sure
Because
is.
we will probably just do the draft Thursday, correct? No, we're gonna be live. the whole draft. We'll take Wednesday off. That'll be our trade night. So we will be live Thursday. We'll be live from, just like last year, we'll probably just be live from my living room. I was gonna try to set it up out here, and then I realized that all my cable providers got canceled. So there's only one cable provider running into my house right now, and it's on one TV, and I don't want to risk it moving its password. So we'll be back in the living room again. But that said, the draft's coming, and I know you're excited about it more than most.
Yeah.
So
yeah, just a little bit.
I figure we'll start on heavy and hard with the draft, then we'll get into the NBA playoffs a little bit. We'll touch base with regular season baseball standings, things like that. It's still early in the season, but figure we'll come in hot and heavy. We all know who the number 1 pick is. It sounds like we might even know who the number 2 pick's probably going to be.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much sealed up too.
Yeah, which good, because I really did not want an LSU guy to go to New England, because then I have to hate them.
Right. I mean, or you could just love him.
I mean, I like him and hate the people that he plays for, kind of thing. But if you don't figure that out yet, the assumption would be Jaden Daniels goes too. That's what it all sounds like. Washington's in love with him, and we're gonna see what we were likening last week to RG3 2.0.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to him that's kind of very similar in that kind of role that he's gonna play. If he doesn't take that same path of, well, now that I'm good at this, let me try to be a completely different quarterback, he'll be fine. Like, look, this is your role. This is what you do.
Yeah.
You have to go full force into this.
Yes, I do feel like, because it's funny because they're comping him. A lot of comps go to Lamar, obviously, and I kind of liken him a little bit too, because yes, Jaden Daniels can run the ball. Lamar ran the ball well, and but in college, you think about RG3's game, and yeah, he ran the ball at Baylor, but if you really go back and think about RG3's game, he was a guy that would sit back and fire the ball around. He was willing to throw the rock. And so when he got to the NFL and they were like, oh, you run a 4.4, run the ball, it was like, why? He's capable of throwing the ball and keeping you in the game that way. But then the injuries just kind of ended all chances of doing any of that stuff. So, so that said, you get to number 3 pick, and that's where...
Actually, one person pointed out that there are some similarities to Tyrod Taylor
Okay.
coming out of college.
Ooh.
Not NFL Tyrod Taylor from college.
Okay.
Like, this is like, you have to get rid of what you know about Tyrod Taylor in the NFL and think about Tyrod Taylor in college. And
I like Tyrod Taylor.
both of them, like, the problem is that they were both willing to bail too quickly before passing. They were both like that, and then there's a stat that it's crazy. So, their clean scramble was 10.9 for Tyrod, 9.4 for Jaden. Like, from a clean pocket. That's how willing they were to scramble at 10% and 9%.
Well, I guess he is gonna run then.
Whenever they were getting pressed, 25% to 25.4%.
Okay.
The scramble total, 16.2% to 14%.
Now, which one
Average
was which?
scramble time, 16.2 is Tyrod. The scramble time, 5.4 Tyrod, 5.2 Jaden. And then pass attempts when pressured, 52.6% Tyrod, 50.6 Jaden.
I'll say though,
So they have a very similar like style that is. I'm not going to say that it's not going to work because that's.
I was gonna say, I thought there were flashes though for Tyrod Taylor where there was multiple times. Buffalo Bills Tyrod Taylor is the best example of a guy like prior Josh Allen.
Mm-hmm.
He really showed for a while there that
They just didn't have
he
anyone.
could be the guy.
Yeah,
And then,
they just
like
had
you
one
said,
around him.
they had nothing around him. They weren't able to win because the team was just so bad. Then they were like, well, it's like every team does. It's the quarterback's fault. And they let him go, and then he's just
Time
kind
to
of...
reload.
Yeah, and then he became... I almost want to liken him to Matt Flynn. You remember when Matt Flynn thought he got his chance with Seattle, and then as soon as he gets to Seattle, they find a starter. Then then he goes somewhere else, to the Packers, I want to say it was. Or
Packers.
he left the Packers, went to Seattle. Then he
Oh,
went to
that's what
another
it was.
team.
That's what it was, yeah.
Goes to another team, and they find a starter. Like, Tyrod Taylor almost ends up being that guy that every time he ends up on your roster, somehow the next guy on your bench becomes your franchise quarterback. So it's kind of worth having him, I guess. Like,
Yeah.
So,
Like, even if he doesn't become, like, the thing, you know, if we're saying that he is closely resembling someone like RG3 and Tyrod Taylor, like, Tyrod Taylor's had a pretty decent career as a back.
yeah, he's held his own in the league. And in all honesty, strictly taking this, because this will impact a lot of people's watching of the draft, is that there's a fantasy football implication to some of these guys, especially these offensive players.
Big time.
Caleb Williams is, we've already talked about. He's going to a fantastic situation. Like it is. I would say Jaden Daniels is going into a pretty good situation too. You've got Scary Terry, you've got Dotson, you've got Brian Robinson. Like the weapons are in place to be.
They have upgraded the offensive
I
line.
was gonna say, yeah, they've done some offensive line moves. Like they're in a position to where he could step onto that team and have no excuse to not be at least to have some level of success because they do have those weapons and those pieces. Like I think they could use maybe one more guy. I don't know if I like Dotson as much.
I like Dotson. I don't like De'Ami Brown.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think because Dotson, I feel like if you could let him work more underneath and around it and do a lot of the shorter stuff, bring another guy outside, like Gabe Davis kind of guy would have been a good fit there. Something like that, I think. Yeah, something would have been, that would have really unlocked it, but I think that whereas if you go to New England, like if you're Drake May, who's likely the guy that goes third and ends up in New England, you don't really have anything.
Well,
Aaron Douglas.
And the good thing about that spot is, even though it's a bad situation, they're already planning to use Brissett as the quarterback this year. They're already going into it knowing the quarterback they're going to draft is going to sit on the bench.
Wow.
So they said that like a month ago. They know that the quarterback they're going for is going to be someone that's going to sit on the bench. It may be half a season, maybe the full season, but they plan on that quarterback sitting.
Wow.
So,
I guess I missed that note.
Yeah, so like I'm not really too scared of what's going to happen for someone going there just because I understand that they're taking an approach of going, we know that we have a bad roster. So
then if you're
it's going to take something.
if you're willing to do that, if that's the approach New England's doing, I think that changes the decision that maybe they're a candidate for a trade out. Because I at one point would have thought there's no way New England trades out. They need a quarterback too bad, and Drake May has been a name for so long that you go get him.
Yeah,
but
so a lot of things that are coming out right now, a lot of people feel that Drake May is the pick here, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that they think that he needs the most work as someone that needs time before he's ready.
So what about J.J. McCarthy then?
They think he's ready.
So they think J.J. McCarthy's more ready than Drake May, but the upside's better, so you draft him high.
Yeah. Because May has the potential to be a superstar, but he's at when they looked at the next gen stats on it, they were looking at the accuracy problems that he actually has when they actually dive into it to see what's really going on.
Okay.
And they're going, look at this from a clean pocket. It's negative from a clean pocket. Like, we talk about how he has no weapons, he has no blocking. They're like, all this is from a clean pocket where he has time, and it's still bad. So they're going, he has some work that he has to do. Like, he's a legitimate guy that needs to sit. That's why I think he's a perfect candidate for the Patriots. And the reason I feel that way is because I don't like Penix or Nix to them, because both of those guys, Nix particularly, is at his potential. I don't think there's much growth to him.
Yeah.
And Penix, he's really close to that. I'm not saying that he's not going to go any further, but I think Penix is close to Nix when it comes to their potential is not near as high. Like, their floor is higher than their ceiling is. Like, their ceiling is pretty much where they are.
They're more or less they're safe picks to be.
Yeah, so if you're a team that is like in the middle of the road, say if the Falcons never got Cousins, Penix or Nix would be perfect for them, because they're teams that are kind of right there on that fringe of, we just need a little bit of a quarterback to help us out.
See, I think guys
and they would be able to pencil in and start right away and do well, because but they're never going to be more than what they are.
Yeah.
If they're going to do well because you got someone around them, but once you have to start paying those guys and you're like, oh, we can't afford them no more, we got to get rid of them, and all of a sudden you start realizing, well, this guy really isn't that good now that no one's around him.
Yeah, I would almost say, though, if I was it would be an interesting pick if I was like a Jets or a Falcons, even, like just saying the Falcons, in a second round option if you have a Nix or a Penix, only because you know your guys there.
Spencer Rattler.
True, a Spencer Rattler.
But I don't know. The Jets, I think Jets don't have a second round pick, but if I was the Jets, that's who I would be looking at.
I don't know. The more I think about Spencer Rattler, how he was in college, watch him play, I think there's still ability to be a very good starting quarterback, potentially. So
I've read 2 reports saying expect him to go higher than you expect him to go.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that really like him.
I've already got him in my second round.
Yeah.
I've got him as, quarterback 7? I got him after Nix, but was that 4, 5, 6? Yeah, 7. Quarterback 7.
Yeah, because... Yeah.
You got those 4, Penix is 5, Nix 6, so he's quarterback 7.
Yeah, those older Nix and Penix, though, like, the idea of one of them going, almost like a Hendon Hooker did, going to a team that has an established quarterback but is an older guy who, if he's injured, you feel confident you can put him in for the game, and almost treat those guys like a Gardner Minshew, where that's kind of what I'm like, getting their ability to.
Yeah.
Or Geno Smith, where down the line they become a guy.
Hooker, by the time he might become a starter, he might be 28 years old.
I don't know that Hendon Hooker becomes a starter.
I don't think he is. No. I think it's, and honestly, it was a wasted pick. They didn't need that pick.
No, because if you're the Detroit Lions, after what Goff did last season, you can't tell me that if he doesn't come out this season that you're not going to pay the guy. Like,
right, yeah. I mean, and
he's done what he had to do.
Campbell has been a Goff guy
from the moment they got him.
But they're like, this is my quarterback, this is who I wanted.
But I also liken that to Campbell's ability to be a great with his players. Because he knew that coming in that he had to address the confidence issues of Goff.
That's true.
And I think that when he walked in, he was like, day one, first most important objective is to make sure that this kid, whether I really think he is or not, the whole world knows that I think he is our guy.
I mean, maybe just a little bit.
Weird that I'm watching while in the shower.
As long as you're not doing anything else in the shower but just watching.
I mean, I work out now, Preston. So you know. He's got a tank top on. You might be getting too happy. Let's put some clothes on.
Sorry about that, Preston.
Wouldn't want to make your shower too much fun.
Right, I better.
You at least have a shower beer in there with you. If you're watching us,
I have a cover down there too.
I mean, if you're watching us in the shower, you gotta have the shower beer too, right? Like the whole combo.
I mean, you might as well.
Oh man.
Appreciate it, Uncle James.
But no, so I mean, as far as the quarterback goes, here's a position group that I'll ask you about though. Because this is one we haven't really talked about too much, and there's some teams that could use them. I wouldn't be against it if my Dolphins got one. I think your Cowboys we know could use some help there. There's not a lot of love for the running backs in this draft.
Right.
We know we've got Brooks. There's
Benson.
I said Bucky Irving kind of didn't test well, so I kind of lost a lot of stock there.
I'm not a fan of Bucky Irving.
Yeah, like a lot of people he didn't test well or combine out well. A lot of people said so that one not a lot of lust, a lot of love.
What was
Corman? Of course, the shower beer.
Let me look at this. Let me go to my running backs list. Okay, so Marshawn Lloyd is another one. His stock has risen. The one that I'm really not sure about is Jalen Wright. When you look at his stats, you're like, man, this dude has done really well.
Yeah.
But then you got to put into the fact he faced.
I was gonna say, where did he play?
8 plus defenders in the box 4 times.
That's pretty.
That's
pretty soft.
Super low.
Yeah. Now, so who did he play for?
He plays for Tennessee.
Oh, well,
he plays for the super wide spread offense.
We're spreading it out. We're not going to be.
That doesn't exist in the NFL.
Okay.
So he is one of the hardest people to project because that offense can't exist in the NFL. And the fact that he only saw 4 8-man fronts, that's a problem. Because those are more typical of an NFL defense that you're seeing. And if you only have an example of 4, you really can't judge if this guy's going to be good or not.
Okay.
So I'm not a fan of him because I don't know who he is. Like his when you look at highlights, he was looking at 2 or 3 guys on the front, and maybe 1 linebacker.
Oh. Okay.
And then he would break these long runs where no one touched him
because
they're so spread out.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I was like, yes, he's got some speed, but does he have vision? I don't know. There was no one there to try to use it.
Never had to make a guy miss to really know.
So I'm not sold on him. There are several people that feel like he should be like RB2, just based on his stats and everything.
The explosiveness and all that. The other names, the 2 that I was kind of looking at are, one is I've been a Blake Corum guy for a while. I think, but I see him as more of like a David Montgomery, like kind of going to be the.
I would say more Jamal.
I'm just thinking he's more
Williams.
Okay, so more of the boom to the lightning. Like he's the thunder.
Like he's a little bitty dude. He's not fast. He runs like a 4.6.
But he is strong.
But he's an ox. He's very Dameon Pierce, and the guy from the Jaguars a few years ago. I think we talked about this last week, didn't we?
We brought him up a little bit, but we didn't get too much in depth. That's why I kind of wanted to slide
that guy from from the Jaguars a few years ago.
James Robinson.
Yes. Yeah, he's more like them, where he's a little bit more of the power. He's got a little bit of breakaway, but he's not going to get you a long run.
Okay.
Like he's going to get you something like.
He's going to get you 6 yards. 7 yards, 5 yards.
He's going to get you what Zeke did for the Cowboys.
Now, that was the reason I went to him. Because the other name I was going to ask about is Braden Allen. Is that we did have someone ask about what do you think about the idea of Zeke? Would you want to bring a Zeke back if you had him on the cheap contract because you know what he is to the team, or would you want to take the flyer on one of these guys?
I mean, I wouldn't mind having Zeke back just because I know what he's good at. If you can, like I didn't mind having Zeke on the team. It was Zeke's contract I didn't like. So if we can get him back for a fraction of that price to do the role that he was doing for Dallas, that would be perfectly fine. And with what he did with New England last year, he's probably going to be even cheaper because New England had a terrible line, so we couldn't do anything anyway.
I just think the only thing is that if you bring back Zeke, Dallas doesn't have what Pollard was for Zeke right now. I mean,
no, they don't.
And that
No, they
exactly,
don't.
and that's the thing is that if you bring in Zeke, you still don't have anyone to be the home run threat. There's nothing in there.
So with the burner back, Trey Benson is basically the burner back. He's actually like I think 220 pounds or something like that, but he runs a 4.39 40. Like he's fast. He scoots. But Brooks is better, a better overall running back. But if you're looking for someone that's got the burst, it's Trey Benson. And then
that said,
you asked about Braylon Allen.
Yeah, Dallas does have a thing for guys that are coming off injuries. So Jonathan Brooks is possibly a logical connection in the second round because they have a tendency to draft guys.
He did his recovery here. Had his surgery here.
So then they would know. So they probably have an inside scoop on most of his information.
And then Braylon, he didn't run the 40, so that's a little worrisome.
And he's a Wisconsin running back, and we learned from Melvin Gordon that those are hit and miss.
And Ron Dane.
There's been a few. There's been a few Wisconsin running backs that come through the pipeline there. Okay, the other position. I mean, I'm leaning a little bit into some of the skill position guys here because I know we have
fantasy implications.
Exactly, it's an easy thing to talk about. So we know the receiving draft is stupid stacked. I mean, we know the top 3 guys are pretty solid. We know there's possibly up to 6 guys going in the first round, just at the receiving position. Give me a guy in the second, third, even a day 3 guy. Give me someone who like, hey, I'm in the 3rd round of my rookie fantasy dynasty draft, and I'm going to take a flyer.
Okay. Right now, this is a guy that I feel is in the 2nd round. I've seen some people put him in the 1st, but here recently, a lot of the big boards are agreeing with me now. Is Keon Coleman. Like, there's some stuff about him that you're going to like. It's just there's also going to be some headaches. Like, he's going to have to learn how to play football. He's very Treylon Burks.
Okay.
But that's the style he is. He has to be in the power slot position. If he's not in the power slot position, he's going to be exactly like Treylon Burks is now.
Now, if I'm correct, it was Coleman who did the one where they run in a straight line. Like gauntlet. He had the fastest gauntlet time, which is the same thing Puka Nacua did last year. Everyone was like, that's one of those ones that you can really look at.
The thing about the gauntlet, all the gauntlet really shows is how much a player trusts their hands. And there has been nothing against his hands. Like, everyone knows that he trusts it because he's got like almost 11-inch hands. Like, they're massive.
So he trusts. So
he's not. I've compared him to him. He's not someone that's really like Troy Franklin. His gauntlet was this because he has little bitty hands. Like, they're barely 9 inches.
Yeah.
Like, they're little bitty for a receiver, especially for a receiver that's 6'3".
Oh yeah.
Like, they're small. And so he has a drop issue. Coleman, like he's going to be someone that trusts his hands. So when you throw it, he's not going to be trying to look down to catch it. He's already going to be looking forward because he trusts his hands not to have to look down to try to catch it.
Which,
like, that's a good thing to have.
Very good trade. That's how you get
But he's slow as molasses for a receiver. Like, he's Kelvin Benjamin slow. He's doesn't have good agility. He's just good hands and is a good receiver. This is it. Like, there's nothing about him other than his hands being good that makes you excited about it.
What about because I don't know, how tall is he? Let's say, because is there at least going to be like that red zone factor? Because if he's
I think he's 6'4".
If he's 6'4", he can go up and get it in the corner. Like,
that's the other thing. Let me actually look that up. So he is 6'3", 213, and ran a 4.61 40. Okay. Actually, the information I have on him is going to make you go, oh, never mind. All right, so okay, that's the wrong one. Player evals. Okay. So my receivers here, Let me go to him real quick.
Oh, we have a debate going down here too.
Keon Coleman. All right. So Coleman's powerful, instinctive wideout should excel in the red zone, except he has 9 out of 24 contested catches
Ooh,
this season, which is 37.5%.
which
Okay.
isn't great.
His career percentage is 27.1.
So it improved, but still not.
So he had a 37.5 to make it improve to a 27 for a career.
Okay.
So he has a problem with contested catches. Now,
which should be a
some
skip.
of the stuff said that some of the contested catches are considered contested, but they may not actually have been very contested. It may have been stuff that he couldn't catch because he had bad quarterback play from Jordan Travis. So they were blaming some of it on Travis, saying...
Which is funny enough who we blamed why Florida State didn't make the playoff.
Yeah. So they're like, and then he does have a 7.2% career drop rate.
Exactly. A lot of contested catches in the NFL. So the simple fact is if he can't catch them, that's going to hurt pretty heavily.
And that's why at one point he was looked at as a first-round guy, and then once all the analytics came out and you started finding all this other stuff, that's when everybody started going, oh, no one's taking him the first round. Like, you're not taking that guy.
Yeah.
But he is going to be a guy that is going to be, depending on where he goes, he is going to be a boom or bust player. He could end up being really well if he's actually used in the right spot. If they're like, you're tall, you have to play outside, like they're trying to do Treylon, who's not an outside receiver. Yeah. He's just a big receiver. If they're going to force him that way, do not touch him.
Some of them they need to act like they're almost like a hybrid tight end, and maybe not put them on the line.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Put them in the inside
that's,
where
that's what the power slot is. It's
basically somewhere in the middle. Yeah,
it's a receiving tight end.
To catch up here real quick, let's see. Yeah, Tyler, I got to be with Preston here. There's not a chance in hell that Rome Odunze doesn't go in the first round. Even if it doesn't get picked by the Bears. There's not a chance in hell he gets out of the top 10, I don't think. No. I would say if he doesn't go to the Bears at 8, someone trades up at 9 or 10.
Let's just say I do have a trade up for Rome Odunze at 8.
With the Bears?
No, with the Falcons.
Oh, the Falcons. I thought the Bears had
the Bears are 9.
Oh, the Bears are 9. Okay. I was thinking they were 8.
So I do have someone trading up for Rome Odunze.
Yeah.
Yeah, another receiver that I would say in that area of round 2, Ricky Pearsall, dude's going to be a stud. He's going to be good.
He looks. I've seen.
Like everyone already knows about Ladd McConkey. He's going to be good, but Ricky Pearsall, I think, is going to be one of depending on depending on where he goes. If he ends up going somewhere where he's not stuck like JSN was last year as a third receiver, like if he goes somewhere where he can be a number 2, possibly move into the number 1 role, he'll be great.
Yeah.
Like if he goes somewhere where he's going to get stuck as the number 3,
Baltimore to go across from Zay Flowers.
Baltimore would be good.
That would be the style of guy that they like. Yeah. Somebody with that speed and offer to work through.
One of the guys though that I would say is very underrated and is being compared to Puka Nacua is his former teammate Jalen Polk.
Okay.
So the thing about Polk is everyone feels like he's good. He's not great at anything. He's good at everything.
So he's Puka.
Yeah, he's good, but there's nothing great about him. Like there's nothing next level, but he's good at everything.
All right.
Like he's good at route running. He's good at contested catches. He's just good at every little thing. There's just nothing about him that's.
So the Rams are going to draft him, and he's going to be a superstar. I mean,
I wouldn't doubt it.
As soon as Cooper Kupp gets hurt again, it's just going to be boom, boom, and they're going to destroy.
Well, my screen is so dark.
We talked a little bit on Drake May at the beginning here, Tyler. I know you got in here second late. A lot of the talk is apparently that Drake May's ceiling is the highest, but his floor is also pretty low because of some of the things that they've read. So, you won't get me or him to tell you that we think the Dallas Cowboys should trade all the way up to number 3 for it. It ain't going to happen.
God, no. That ain't going to happen.
But, especially because if you trade it all the way up for him, you're sitting him for multiple years. I mean, unless you just think you're not going to sign Dak back, I guess. But No, I think May looks great. He checks all the boxes, but he's gonna end up in a situation that's not good, and he's gonna have to figure out getting through those growing pains, like a lot of the normal.
So this is what a scout said about Drake May. I've never seen a quarterback who's supposed to be a top guy have absolutely no answers for a team. That was when he played against North Carolina State. Then here's another one. I always had concerns that he couldn't raise his level, but that just cemented it. Talking about that game also. Like, there are concerns that it's just like, you want to talk about, well, it's the talent. No. There's more to him it's not the talent that wasn't there. Because even when Devontae Walker was there, even though Devontae Walker is like one of the league's worst in drop catches, there was still a lot of just inaccurate passes to him. So it's hard to. He's very hard when it comes to seeing what he's actually going to go and be, because even Merrill Hodge has said this is the kind of guy that will get you fired.
I was gonna say it actually sounds like
other scouts have said this is the type of guy that you need 2 to 3 years to get into and to make sure he can hit that next level. And the problem is the NFL will not allow you to build this guy for that long, because you'll be gone by then and a new coach will be in trying to teach him something else.
Yeah.
And so he may never actually reach his potential.
Exactly. I was gonna say that.
So he's very boomer bust, even though he's got a high ceiling. It's just he may not ever reach it.
It's almost sounding like the best thing that would happen to him is that if he could end up in that, he needed to end up in a situation like Washington or Chicago where the pieces are already in place. Going to New England would not play well because there's just nothing there.
Well, see, so the good thing about going to New England is you have a head coach that has been being groomed to be that next head coach for years.
And McDaniels.
So, what?
No, not Josh McDaniels. I don't know why I said that.
Mayo.
Yeah.
So, you have an owner that trusts this head coach. So you're actually going to an organization that could actually do that for you, because the owner will trust the head coach to go, okay, I know that we have to build this guy for a year or two before we can set him loose.
So here's a little just the kick and giggles for you. Say New England goes wild and decides they want J.J. McCarthy. And now the 5th pick comes up. Minnesota makes the trade up. Is Drake May going to have a higher likelihood of hitting his ceiling if he goes to Minnesota, where he's likely starting day one, or New England, where he's coming off the bench halfway through the season?
I mean, you have a better opportunity just because there's better weapons. You have a better offensive line.
And
like, everything is built up. It's just your defense sucks.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like the offense for Minnesota is built to a point where they have trust in Sam Darnold being the quarterback this year. Like,
yeah,
they're more than willing to not draft a quarterback.
Well, considering what they were able to do with guys like Dobbs and all these other guys, like it's proof. 1, McConnell's an amazing coach. 2, they're loaded with the weapons around them, around these guys, that they can be successful. I mean, they even brought in Aaron Jones, is almost kind of can liken him to what they had in Dalvin Cook, but they think that there's still something there because, in all honesty, he was still the best back in the Packers system before they let him go. Because they had Dalvin Cook and they let him go. The Vikings did. And they just kind of replaced it because they never.
Okay, yeah, that's right. They did bring Aaron Jones in.
Yeah, they picked him up the day after the Packers cut him.
No, he went to the Raiders.
No.
No, that was going up to that was nobody.
Yeah, the Raiders haven't
Zamir
signed
White.
anybody.
That's right.
Yeah, they're gonna.
Yeah, they got rid of
the Raiders. Let Josh Jacobs walk, and
Josh
they're gonna.
Jacobs went to Packers. That's what.
Yes, and then after the Packers got Jacobs, Aaron Jones signed with the Vikings for the 1 year.
Jefferson is. They're going to tag him. So either he stays or he stays. Like.
Yeah, he can't go anywhere for 2 years.
You still have Addison, so you still got a good receiver.
And
Plus you have Hawkinson, so you still have a good tight end also.
Yeah.
Whether they get rid of him, like, that's not really going to move the needle very much. But they're not going to let him go.
Yeah, Alexander Madison's trash,
They
though.
did
We don't
that
care
once.
that he went to the Raiders.
They did that once. I don't think they'll do it again. But Kwesi is pretty hardcore when it comes to sticking to his guns, so maybe he will.
Yeah. So, all right. So that
Other questions?
run through there then, and then really, are there any other tight ends in this draft to keep an eye on outside of Bowers?
I mean,
That would be the last fantasy implicating position.
yeah, not really any that I would jump to try to draft.
Yeah.
I mean, you got JT Sanders, which, to be honest, Dane Brugler is the only one that I've seen that still got him as his tight end too, but it's still ranked very low.
Okay.
I think he's actually got him ranked as a third rounder. Let me double check that. Tight end, Jatavion, 57. So
back into the second round.
back in the second round, yeah.
Okay.
And then after that, I think Ben Sinnott is ranked 90. Theo Johnson from Penn State, which they have felt has a higher ceiling, but can he reach it is kind of the thing. There are a few guys, but there's no one that's going to be the way that Sam Laporta played last year, or Luke Musgraves. There's not going to be anyone like that this year. It's Brock Bowers, and then maybe these guys can do a little something, but they'll probably be more like Washington, the dude named Washington, the big
James
old dude,
Washington?
James.
Yeah.
No.
From this.
But I mean, he's with the Steelers, but James
James.
Washington is a receiver.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
But Washington, the big old dude, Washington,
6'8",
the big old
240,
massive
yeah.
tight end. He'll probably end up being something like that. Nothing to make you jump out and be excited for. JT Sanders has got the opportunity, but after his testing was god awful. So, he dropped in a lot of people's rankings.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because that was one of the positions. Even though we know that we're not getting a lot of love out of the running backs. There's still some names you've heard.
Yeah.
And then we know the receivers are deep. We knew the quarterback class was good. But then you think about the tight ends, and you're like, oh, Brock Bowers, and then you go, well, I hope you like your last year's tight ends on your teams, because you're not going to get anybody new this year.
There's not a JT Sanders might get into the second round. Throughout the year, I've had him in the second round, and then the last 2 months he's been out, or not 2 months, but after his combine, I was like, nope, not second round no more. Mm-mm.
Okay, so then now that we've kind of run through the skill players here, we've got just in general on your mock, how many offensive players you got going in round one?
Let me count that.
We'll count offensive linemen.
All right. 1, 2, 3,
I saw
4,
that.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 in the top 16. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21.
21 offensive players of 32 picks.
Yep.
How many of those are skill players? Because there's some good offensive tackles, but there's a lot of skill depth in this one.
So we got...
Good call,
1,
Tyler.
2,
He
3,
literally
4.
said 21 at the same time you timed it. Good call, sir.
So we got 5 quarterbacks. Then you got receivers of 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So 11 of the 21.
So a little over half we're calling skill player guys. Okay. Well, now you know for your dynasty drafters, that's basically the entire first round of NFL draft is also the first round of your dynasty draft.
And there was some news that came out today about Adonai Mitchell that is very kind of makes you want to take him out of the first round. I still got him in first round, but I lowered him.
That's the Texas receiver, correct?
One of the Texas receivers, yeah.
Yes.
So apparently, coaches don't really like him that much, and the reason is because he is a diabetic. But it's not the reason he's a diabetic. It's because sometimes he forgets to take it, and when people don't take it,
oh yeah, it's not good.
they're very rude and obnoxious, and apparently he has a problem of not taking his insulin.
that can kill him.
Yeah.
Like, my mom's
So-
a diabetic.
So
big
the
issue.
fact that he has a problem not taking it, like being a diabetic is
Mark
it's a
Andrews.
tough thing. But because Mark Andrews has it, there's
Mark Andrews has
player,
a pump.
there's a player on the Chiefs that has it. But like you have these guys that do it, and now you have a guy that has it, but has a problem with actually taking it.
Death is a bigger issue.
Yeah. Right?
Exactly. That's what I was thinking. Like,
So-
I'm over here thinking of that. Like the whole.
So like you have this guy that is just not actually taking it seriously, that he has like a something that can kill him.
why are you not getting a pump? Like Mark Andrews has a pump. My mom has a pump. There is a literal
I
pump
want the
that
pump.
can literally register when your body needs insulin, so that it feeds that to you, and then it just gives you it tells my mom, hey, we're sending insulin, and then it booms it. Like, you were a Division I college athlete with these medical problems. Like, you can get a pump. It's not hard for you to get it, and now you're a pro level football player.
Yeah.
Slap that bad boy in and let's go.
So there was that, and then they talk about how before all that came out, they talked about how there's a lot of plays where if you watch, he just kind of gives up on them, and it's basically because he's not getting the ball. He's also kind of given up on plays because Quinn Ewers just really didn't give him the ball very much, even when he does go to him. Like, he overthrows him, underthrows him. Like, Quinn Ewers, as a Longhorn fan, Quinn Ewers,
He's kind
of rough. It's kind of rough. So, like, he's been having those issues.
Exactly, Tyler. And he's got NIL. Get a pump.
Yeah. So, there's a part of me that actually wants to drop him out because that's some big red flags.
Yeah,
Like,
laziness and
Like,
I'm willing to die. Like,
I mean, right. First off, there are rumors about you being lazy running routes sometimes. Now there's stuff coming out about how you're lazy about not giving yourself insulin.
I
all the
can't
time.
believe that. That is
Like-
horrible.
That's a very bad thing. So to me, there is a probability that he might go in the second round now, knowing that information. So, I mean, I don't know. Like, he's a tough one for me. I've got him in the first round.
Now he's
still,
going to
but-
fall to the second round, and that's when the Chiefs actually will pick a receiver,
Well,
and they'll
yeah.
unlock everything out of
Yeah.
him. Because that's the name that has been linked a lot.
Yeah.
It's Kansas City in the first round.
Well, him or Xavier Worthy, and I keep going, guys.
They're not going
If
to
they're
pick
going to
receiver
take a
one.
receiver, they're not going to pick the same guy that they just signed.
Yeah.
They
Malcolm.
just signed Hollywood Brown.
Yeah, they're not going to
They're
sign him.
not going to. They're not going to draft the same exact.
No,
dude.
they need to replace Rasheed Rice when he's in jail
Yeah.
for the season.
Exactly. like the Chiefs have tried to do that once before when they had Tyreek Hill. They went with McCole Hardman. They were like, oh, two burners, and then it didn't work.
Well, it didn't help that the entire league decided to go 3 over
Exactly.
the top to
Exactly.
take away any
So
of
now,
that.
now you have Hollywood, and you're going, oh, well, we can get another guy just like him, and then we're just going to go back to the fact where everyone's going to do that again, where he's just going to have to dink and dunk, and then all of a sudden your deep threat is no longer a deep threat.
No, you're just
So
hoping you can make someone miss.
Like, that's why the Xavier Worthy pick to them has always just drove me nuts, because it didn't make sense. But I had Xavier Worthy in the first round going to the LA Chargers.
Okay. I mean, that's a team that needs receivers. 100%.
Because I had them flipped at one point.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I didn't. Because I never had Worthy to Kansas City. But right now, because of the drop, I had to move stuff around, and when I moved stuff around, oh, that's what it is. So I had A.D. Mitchell to the Bills. Then after all that came out, I had the Bills trade up to get Brian Thomas.
Okay.
So that's how it
Which
worked
would
out. And
be-
then right now, I have
Brian
A.D.
Thomas
Mitchell.
would be a great fit for a team that needs what should be a potential number one guy, and with moving on
What?
from two of their starting wide receivers this offseason.
No, I have Harrison going to the Cardinals. I have the Chargers trading down with the Vikings.
At 5.
So yeah, the Chargers I have with Taliesin Fuaga, who can play interior or tackle, whichever one you need him to, and then I have him taking Xavier Worthy with the second pick. So,
But receivers aren't going to be a big deal for the Chargers anymore because
yeah.
Harbaugh's a run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. Oh shit, punt. So,
well, if you look at Michigan's offense, they played pretty well evenly in the first half. It's just once they put the lead,
they're always up, so
they just ran the ball and killed the timeout.
Yeah, I guess we just think of it like that because when you think of him with San Francisco, like the whole offense was
it's the same.
It was Frank Gore at the time.
It was Frank Gore.
I was gonna say Frank Gore had the only seasons that were actually worth a darn in his career.
That dude's got 16,000 rushing yards.
Longevity is his Hall of Fame ability is the fact that he stayed healthy. That is the only thing that Frank Gore ever did in his career. I'm sorry. That dude is the definition of play forever to hang up numbers and not do anything to actually be good.
I mean, that's true.
16,000 yards is not that hard when you play 20 seasons and only have to average 75 yards a season. West Coast gunslinger. I think he'll have to get 2 good. Oh, I don't disagree that he needs 2 good receivers. I just don't know that their weapons, like I think they will approach their offense very similar to the Ravens.
Yeah.
Where they have 2 guys that they're like, okay, we can run out with these guys. I would be expecting to see more tight end help from them because when Harbaugh was with Stanford, he had some useful tight end movement. Like the idea of them sticking and taking Bowers wouldn't shock me.
Well,
since they got rid of Gerald Everett.
They signed Will Dissly and Hayden Hurst.
Okay, so then they brought in a couple of guys.
Yeah, Will Dissly is more of your run blocking tight end, and then Hayden Hurst is a little bit run blocking, a little bit pass catching.
Yeah.
So I think he brought those 2 guys in on purpose as double tight end sets. This is what I can use. This is the perfect. They can block and they can go. Like I don't like the Bowers pick. I can understand it, but I don't like it because I feel like he would rather go receiver.
Yeah.
An actual outside receiver. Kind of like the way that like you said, like the Ravens are running their offense. You got 2 guys out and you have 2 tight end sets.
Yeah. And if you lined up in a 3 wide set right now, you have to assume that they're going to give Quentin Johnson one more run. You picked him in the first round. So Quentin Johnson's going to be your number 2 outside. I would move Josh Palmer as your slot. Let him be because he's been the most sure-handed thing so far. Unless you draft a slot guy and
I would
him
rather
outside.
Quentin Johnston be the power slot.
I just don't trust Quentin Johnson's hands in the slot, and you have to be able to catch with your hands in the slot, I feel like.
Yeah, but his problem is he can't catch in traffic. He can't catch contested catches.
He can't catch. That's his problem.
Well, no, all of his drops have been contested catches. He can't do it. But if you look at all his TCU stuff, he was all an underneath guy.
Was he? I guess
he was a yak king because he got a whole bunch of underneath stuff and then took off afterwards.
I guess I just think of him and all those bombs that they were unleashing on him.
So, because you remember Michigan. You remember the Michigan
game is where you see him just catching bombs.
That's where a lot of people get that perception is they remember that Michigan game of him getting some bombs. But in reality, most of his stuff came from those short little slants where he could pick up yards afterwards. So if he became the power slot, he would work better and having someone else outside.
Okay.
Like, I think that's his best position. But if they don't put him in it, I would not trust him at all. Like, you have to put him in a place where he excelled. Now you know he didn't excel at this spot. Hey, let's put him in the spot where he excelled in college because that looked good. Let's try that.
The problem is they wanted him to be Mike Williams, who was a very good contested ball catcher. Yeah. It's just Mike Williams couldn't stay healthy.
Yeah.
That's why Mike Williams is going to be fantastic for the Jets if he can stay healthy.
Yeah.
Like, Jets if Mike Williams with Garrett Wilson, if they're both healthy, is going to be a great combination.
Agreed.
But, all right, so we are coming up on almost 50 minutes on time show, so we'll go through here. We'll go through a couple. Hey, props to the fact that we've run an average viewers of 4 to 5 the whole time, guys. Thanks for staying with us.
Appreciate
this is the engagement is what we've been looking for. That's what is really buying it. And remember, while we still have y'all, because obviously you're gonna stick around for football, and then when we transition, usually is when it starts to dip off. Next week,
it's already at 3.
Yeah, next week, NFL draft. We will be live from probably 10. As soon as they say the Bears are on the clock, we'll have already started the thing. That live feed is going to run the whole time. We will run a live feed we did it last year for, 3.5 hours while we watched the entire first round?
Yeah.
We ordered pizza. We will sit there and eat pizza, probably drink. I might have to order some Arizona teas, and I don't mean the soft kind, I mean the hard kind because they're amazing. And we will sit back, talk draft the whole time, break down. He'll be able to break down picks. Very much like having my own Mel Kiper here. He's just going to go through, run down what he thinks of the pick. We'll listen to what the draft experts have to say. Wait for all the excitement to happen, and that'll be fun. So,
tell you what, it was a lot of fun this year because I joined. I've been in another group that they've been posting a lot of mocks, like a lot of them, and there's a lot of engagement on them. So I can sit there and I can go, look, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. They're not going to do this because of this reason. They're not going to do this because of this reason. That guy they're not going to draft because it doesn't fit this, or this of what they like to do.
Yeah.
So it's very fun, and once you start to realize some of those things about teams, a lot of this stuff becomes a lot easier. And over the years, I've been pretty crappy at doing this. But over the last 4 years, I've gotten really good at it once I started paying attention to the fact that certain teams have certain ways that they draft.
Look, Mel Kiper's gotten his picks wrong probably 80% of the time, but he's
Well,
had
not
a
80.
good head. He's had a good head of hair, and he's good on a camera.
He's one of the greatest quarterbacks I've ever seen in my life.
I mean, we're all still waiting for him to retire because Jimmy Clausen was a bust.
Exactly. Exactly.
All right.
So the average is between professionals. The average is around 42% accuracy. So, that's pretty good, and that's saying players in the first round and players to team. So, over the last 3 years, I'm at 45%, but over the last 5, I'm at 41.
Okay, well,
So,
there we go.
I've gotten better. I had a really good year in 2021. Had a really good year. It was 55%.
Yeah.
It was really good. So that's what's making my numbers look really good. But
who knows? Maybe I'll sign up.
It's around 42, 43. Well, you can't sign up.
I can sign up for.
You can put it up.
Pro
and I can
Football
grade it for you.
Focus. Build my own mock now that we've done
Yeah, I
all
can
this,
grade it for
and
you.
then have it at the draft and just do the count like I did last year.
Yeah.
Because last year I had what? I think we did. I ended up getting 4 in the top 10, right? I was proud of that.
Yeah, and I love it because the year that I did really good is when the Huddle Report noticed, and I asked to if I could submit my own mock, and they one, you have to be invited for them to grade.
Exclusive club.
Yeah, it's legitimately for professional, the main pages like PFF and NFL Network and ESPN and The Athletic. It's for all those people.
Yeah.
And I submitted my history of mocks and everything, and they were like,
"Oops,
why don't you just join our team?" And I was like, okay, I love that. So that's how I ended up being able to do that, was just kind of showing them my work and all the stuff I put into it and what the knowledge that I know. And it kind of came into them inviting me on to it.
And I just know him from playing E-Class softball.
And now I'm in my 3rd year with them. So hopefully this is my best year with them.
It will be a fun one to have it be
It's
your
a
best
weird
year. It's a
year
weird
because
draft. There's so much going on.
There are going to be some trades, dude. There are going to be some trades.
Exactly. That's going to be the part that really throws the wrench, is that I think we're going to... Last season was one of the most active trade deadlines we've seen in the NFL in my life. And that trend is continuing to pick up. We've seen him in the offseason already. So I would not be shocked at all if we see 5+ trades that involve not just player trends moving picks, but players
involved
on teams going to new teams as part of these deals.
I guarantee you, one team I feel like is already going to do that, and that's the Rams. Because the Rams do not care about their draft picks.
Oh no, they haven't had a 1st-round pick since Jared Goff, so maybe they hold on to one.
But they keep trading them off.
Well, that's true.
They traded one off for Jalen Ramsey. They constantly trade them off.
That was all in their Super Bowl window. Are we going to say they're in a Super Bowl window right now?
Why not?
Well, you lose Aaron Donald, and that's a pretty big hit.
I mean, yeah, unless you can get someone for your second round pick.
True. I mean, I guess if they have that movement, so
Like,
okay.
he's just a guy that's willing to trade. Like, I would not put them past them to trade their first round pick for like some stud player that's not going to get paid.
I will say the biggest flex move that I've ever seen a GM do is when he wore the T-shirt that said "fuck them picks" after
Yeah.
they won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
He was just like,
I mean, that's exactly
that was
like,
greatness.
That's why I feel like they're one of the teams that would definitely trade for a player because they don't care about them picks.
Yeah, true.
They feel like that they can get the player they need by an established player with that pick instead of going for a guy who may or may not pan out. So you read that's the way they do it. They look at it and go, this guy, we know he's good, so we'll just give it up for him. Instead of going, well, he's got a long injury history. He could only play for 2 years, So you would rather give up the guy that you know is good for the guy who may or may not be good.
True.
So that's the way that the Rams look at the draft, is their picks don't matter to them. So that's why they haven't had a first round pick in so long, since they don't care about them. They're just, we'll trade them off for this guy. That way they can build their team up, but we got the better guy. So it's a weird situation, but the Rams are like that. I have 4 predicted trades.
Yeah, 4. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm looking at one more thing that I wanted to get a ballpark number at here to see if I could find. Okay. All right. So that said, we will slide over now. Unless you got one more nugget for me.
One more. Okay.
Because I can lose you in the NFL draft. I know.
Yeah. You can. The one last thing is the fact that that's the wrong thing there. Let me go to it. Yeah. So the defensive lineman AJ Simon.
Okay.
He was.
Oh yes.
He
I
died
saw this today.
Yeah. He passed away at 25. He was getting ready for the draft. I feel like there's a good chance that they treat this guy the way that the NBA did a few years ago with an honorary draft pick.
As they should.
That way, his family can at least get some kind of closure. Even though he's not going to get to walk across the stage, they're going to be able to hear his name.
And anyone, like I said, Sunday night was a little wild, and I don't want to go into too much detail, but the topic of someone passing away, especially in the world of softball right now, like we know we have a lot of softball people that follow this. And it's something that really would hit home. So, right now, that's something a lot of people are going through. I'm going to a balloon release ceremony tomorrow night for something. So, I hope that they do, I hope they do something for that guy, for his family, he was 25 years old. I don't know much of his life, but 25 years old nowadays, probably a kid. Wouldn't be shocked if there's a kid. There's probably a girlfriend or a wife. They let him have that moment, let them feel like he deserved what he accomplished. He might have been a 7th round pick. He probably, at the worst, was going to be an undrafted free agent.
Right.
So
yeah.
Let him have the moment to say he was honorary in some way.
Yep.
So I totally would respect to see that. So
that's all I got.
All right. So now we will slide over to the Orange Ball, the hard court. As we started the NBA playoffs yesterday, I know they don't technically call them that, but the play-in games did start. So first round of play-in games, we had Pelicans and Lakers play each other. Lakers handled their business, so they will play as the 7th seed against the Nuggets. The Kings effectively ended the Warriors dynasty, I think.
I think so.
I would say that. Don't get me wrong, they weren't 46-36. It's still a very good season overall, but I think Klay Thompson is done as a Warrior. I think Draymond has a higher likelihood of staying a Warrior than
I've
Klay.
already saw that Klay Thompson is going to be a target for the Mavericks.
Which I don't understand that. I don't know why you would want to do that. I just don't know that Klay needs... If Klay goes to a young team that needs a veteran to come off the bench, like Oklahoma, someone like that, it wouldn't be a bad thing. But Klay's going to have to understand that his days of being a premier guy are done. Yeah. He's a 15 to 20 minute a night guy who might catch fire and hang 30 one night, but for the most part, you're going to hope you get 6 to 9 points a game out of him, I think, going forward.
Yeah, I think that's about where he's at.
Yeah, and it's been a magical run. You can't take away what these guys have done. You cannot tell the story of the NBA without talking about their run, what Steph Curry has been.
Yep.
How guys like Draymond have done.
And funny enough, it started around with the Mavericks, even though
Yeah.
it started before them, but it included them into it.
Yeah.
Because it started with the number 1 seed Mavericks getting beat by the number 8 seed Warriors with Monta Ellis and Baron Davis, and then
and then using those
Steph
pieces
Curry
to trickle in
and
Steph Curry and start to draft
They just-
Klay Thompson. And the fact that makes it so impressive is that, yes, we talk about the fact that they brought in Kevin Durant to build a super team, but the core of that roster has always been what they drafted. And these weren't high lottery picks. These were, Steph was the 9th pick, I think. Klay was the 11th pick. Draymond was a 2nd round pick. That's 3 Hall of Famers.
Mhm.
Like, there's no convincing me that they're not all 3 going to be in the NBA Hall of Fame someday. So,
Naismith.
Naismith Hall of Fame, correct. It's all of basketball. I forget they encompass all of it there. So, it's
The easiest Hall of Fame to get into.
absolutely it is. But they're all 3 guys. I would say that it's the one who has a less likelihood might be Draymond because he doesn't bring the statistics to the game. But the Warriors are not the Warriors without Draymond Green.
Yeah.
Draymond brings the toughness. I mean, honestly, even listening to guys talk today, a lot of people say that the only reason that the Warriors were playing in this is because he got that suspension. If he doesn't get a 20-game suspension, a lot of people think that they were in a trajectory where they probably had a better season than the Suns. They might be the 6th seed, and the Suns would have been the play-in. Because they feel like Draymond affects winning in that level.
Wow.
So, I don't know. I'll say that. But, so Friday night we have the Kings and the Pelicans. They will play each other. The Pelicans are going to be without Zion, which really sucks because Zion had that season that proved this season that he could be the guy. Like, the Pelicans went from a lottery team to a 16 games over 500 team when Zion's healthy. Like, he's proven he's that guy.
Yeah.
And then he was having a monster ball game yesterday before the hamstring went, and he's already said he's not going to be playing against Sacramento. I don't think they have a chance without him.
Apparently, from what I saw, was they're going to reevaluate in 2 weeks.
Yeah, like even if they somehow pull off the miracle win, I don't think they are. He wouldn't even be available at first for the Thunder series. As a Thunder fan, I don't want Sacramento. I mean, that's a good team. Like, I hope somehow the Pelicans pull off the miracle because I really want to win. But I was more excited that the Lakers didn't lose and somehow have to be the 8th seed because I don't want the Lakers. Like, the Lakers have been playing damn good basketball right now.
Yeah.
And so...
And I think a lot of that is just they know that they have to.
Well, exactly. Well, and it's that time. That February, that veteran-savvy team decides that, okay, now's the time. And you started seeing, some of the old, guys playing more minutes in the games. Like, AD played the most games that he's played in his entire career this season.
Really?
76 games is the most games he's played in a single season in his entire career.
Dang, okay.
Yeah, like, Austin Reeves has been coming into his own as the last couple of years, especially this season. Since about late January, D'Angelo Russell absolutely balling. Like, there's a reason they didn't make all those trades at the deadline is because these guys are guys they thought they could win with, and they did it. And they wanted the Nuggets. Like, the Nuggets are not the deep team that they were last year. They don't have the Bruce Browns anymore. They don't have a couple of other guys that were coming off that bench. Like, their starting rotation is basically it, and it's Joker. If you can slow down, in all honesty, you have to take Joker's other games out. With, like, Luka and guys like that, you let them get theirs. They're going to score their 40. But you know what? Joker's not a scorer, naturally. Like, he gets buckets. He'll get you 27 a night, 25 a night. But you want Joker to hang 45 points. Because that means that you've probably taken all the shooters, what's the point guard's name? I can't forget. I forgot his name. The one to it. That's going to drive me nuts. The one that tore his ACL.
It was on,
it is like on the tip of my tongue.
As soon as you were like, "What's his name?" I was like, "Oh,
Jamal
man.
Murray.
Jamal Murray."
Yes, you want to take Jamal Murray out of the game. You've got to take Michael Porter Jr. out of the game. The Lakers, I think, actually have a legitimate chance at getting the upset as long as you can take the other pieces out of the equation. Because I think that the Lakers have a deeper roster. But the problem is that Anthony Davis has been owned by Joker his entire career. Joker and Sabonis both absolutely own Anthony Davis. So the Lakers didn't want the Kings because Anthony Davis has never won a game that Sabonis started against him. So, just that point there. So, that said, though, at least for the Western Conference, we'll find out Friday night who the Thunder will play. Clippers will play the Mavs. It sounds like Kawhi Leonard is hampered with an injury and might not be able to go, which would be huge for the Dallas Mavericks.
That's interesting.
That would be big because he was limited in practice. There's some questions there, and he's the thing that people forget about.
Confirmed for Team USA.
Yeah, and that was going to be the other thing that I start bringing in is that when you hear all the rosters and all these names, then we get into the Olympic roster. Think about the turnaround time here because we're going to talk about that too.
Yeah.
NBA Finals ends June 23rd. Olympics starts July 27th. The Olympics aren't in America.
1 month.
They don't even get a month because the Olympics aren't in America and they're going to have to report to camp to get rotations in and stuff. They're probably going to get 2 weeks off and then they got to get to wherever the Olympics are because I can't remember what country off the top of my head. So, like, that's going to be a part of that. And when you look at the guys on the playoff roster, so Olympic roster, like we said, was announced. Team USA comes in with, it was Durant, it was, I think Steph's the only one that's going to get a time off. But, so then you've got...
It's in Paris.
Paris, that's right.
It's in Paris.
Yeah, so then you have the Timberwolves and the Suns. Then you've got Nuggets, Lakers, and then you go to the East, and right now, I think there should be exceptions to the play-in tournament rule. Because, like, I can understand the Pelicans at 49-33, the Lakers at 47-35, the Kings at 46-36, and the Warriors at 46-36. All these teams are well over 500, and you know what? Have some fun with it. Give them a chance. 76ers are 47-35. The Heat are 46-36. Cool. That's your 7 and 8. The Bulls are 39-43. The Hawks are 36-46. No one wants them in the damn playoffs. And the problem is it's a one-game thing. And we've talked about this a few weeks ago. One night of catch fire and the wrong team's going to win. Now, right now, the Sixers are down. They're down 51-39. That was a while ago. So it's going to update because that game is going on right now. This is for the 7 seed. The Sixers are now up with 6 minutes to go. Sixers are up by 1 over the Miami Heat. So Jimmy Butler better get it going because this is that time of year where Jimmy Butler goes nuts. And he hasn't done much tonight. Neither is Tyler Hero, who's shooting 5 of 21 tonight. So that's ugly.
Butler.
Jimmy Butler's 5 of 17 with 19 points, 5 assists, 3 rebounds. He just got his 3rd rebound. He got an offensive board. So that one's to figure out who's going to play the Knicks. And in all honesty, this is a more important game than whoever gets the 8 seed, because the 7 seed plays the Knicks. The 8 seed has to play the Celtics, which ran away from the Eastern Conference. So if I'm these two teams, it's everything's got to go. You don't want Boston. You don't want to go to Boston and play in the first round. Not with all the power and the depth and the rotation that the Celtics have.
That and with the Knicks, like basically you just got to stop Brunson.
Exactly, because you got OG Anunoby back. And it sounds like Julius Randle is either back or going to potentially be back, but he's going to be out of shape. It's going to take him into game going. So they might be closer to full strength, but if you're Miami, you feel like you size up, match up better with the Knicks because Bam Adebayo can take Julius Randle out of the game. And so now it's Jalen Brunson, and you give me the option to put Jimmy Butler on Jalen Brunson. I mean, I'm going to tell Jimmy Butler, you're my best player. Go shut down their best player. Like, that's what I need you to do tonight. And so that's going to come into it. But then you have Bucks Pacers. Giannis is out, though. The Pacers won the season series against the Bucks this season. And the Bucks are now without Giannis.
Without Giannis? Dang.
They won the season series with Giannis, and now they're without him. And Damian Lillard missed practice today because he was hurt. So Tyrese Halliburton, Olympic roster, might have him a chance at the second round of the playoffs because
interesting. Okay.
Doc Rivers is going to choke in the playoffs again. And then you have
he's going to get so fired after this season.
Oh yeah, and the most underappreciated matchup in the Eastern Conference is probably the Cavaliers and the Magic, and I think that could be a really fun series. Like, you got a lot of young guys in that series, teams that have some opportunity. My least favorite, my most overhyped player in Donovan Mitchell of the Cavalier, but there's that too. So, that said, now that we've kind of run through it, like we said, there's only a month's turnaround, and the Olympic roster did get announced, and I had it right here. So, it's LeBron on the Lakers, Steph with the Warriors, Durant, Embiid, Anthony Davis, Devin Booker, Anthony Edwards, Jason Tatum, Bam Adebayo, Tyrese Halliburton, Drew Holiday, and then the recently added, which was literally added today, is Kawhi Leonard. Every single one of these guys is, excluding Steph Curry, because of yesterday, is in the playoffs right now. Now, I don't think we can be honest and realistic about it. We probably don't think, let's see, the 76ers, I don't know that they have a title chance because it sounds like Embiid's still working his way back. And if he's not 100%, I don't know that he plays in the Olympics. Like, if he plays...
I mean, he might not.
If he runs through and plays a couple rounds deep in the NBA playoffs, you're going to send him to the Olympics banged up? Because he's not going to have time to rest. Especially, he wants to play it because he kind of flipped the bird to the city of the country of France by playing for us. And then, I mean, really? But the Lakers, you would say the Lakers have proven that they're a team with their veteran leadership that has a chance to run. You can't rule out the Suns, even though I don't think the Suns roster is good enough. You can't rule out the scoring abilities of Durant and Booker to say they couldn't make a late run. We just talked about how the Pacers have a legitimate chance at the second round. The Celtics have two Celtics on this team. They're your NBA favorite by a lot of teams. Like, there's a number of guys on this team that are not going to get but a week and a half off, and then you got to get to Paris. So,
I like the fact that, I don't remember who it was, but someone had brought up that they probably need to maybe take someone off and let Cooper Flag join.
I did see the comment about that, though, because they wanted him to be the Christian Laettner of it.
Yeah.
That's what they said. The only problem with that is that if you do it that way, you have to pick someone who's already in college.
Well,
because Christian Laettner was already a dominant college player. So what you would do is you look at this year's draft crop and you pick the best college guy. And there's not. There's exactly.
That's why they say Cooper Flag.
This NBA. Exactly. If the Olympics were next year, then you 100% take Cooper Flag.
Yeah.
But just think, though, the only mistake that the Olympic Dream Team made back in 93 Olympics, right? 92? The only mistake they made is that I know Laettner deserved it. It was the right pick because of it. But you know who the alternate to Laettner was? Shaq. That team could have been even better. So, now I don't know how Shaq does with not playing any because Christian Laettner didn't play at all.
Oh, Shaq would have played. And then they...
over David Robinson, over Tim Duncan.
Well, they would have given him time.
Not Tim Duncan at the time,
but
he got
I read that they gave him, because they didn't do that, he got something else in 94. They put him on the what's the other not Olympic? What's the other team?
Oh, not the European Championships, the World Cup or whatever.
Whatever that is. So they put him on that, and he won a championship. And they're like, "Here's your champion." He goes, "I don't care about that."
Yeah.
It's like, this is what you're giving me. Like I didn't get to go to that. This is my what I get in return.
Yeah. No. I will say the one thing I really like that they did, because though they did go very heavy on the veteran side, LeBron, Curry, Durant, like they took a lot of old guard guys. But the fact that they decided to take Tyrese Halliburton over probably over a Kyrie Irving, a Jason Tatum, and an Anthony Edwards. Those are three guys that are,
That's what we talked about.
Yes.
They need to have the next guys.
You have to have
learn from these guys.
Exactly, because the whole point of this is that the reason we're having to stack up this team is that because once again we let USA Basketball slouch because the middle generation of guys after LeBron, because this is LeBron's fourth Olympics.
Yeah.
Like it's not like the guy hasn't gone and won golds already. Like after these guys have made that run, like this is basically supposed to be the redeem team for the redeem team because the redeem team was supposed to fix everything, and then they did for a few years, and then it was just like, well, we're going to drop the ball again because all the upstars stopped playing. So I do like that this time, instead of just keeping all the vet like that, they were like, no, we're basically saying that our 1, 2, and 3 in our next Olympics will be Halliburton at the point, Edwards at the 2, and then it would be Tatum at the 3. Which by then you hope Cooper Flagg's established himself as a superstar, and he might be your 4.
Yeah.
So that'll play in overall. It'll be a lot of fun though because of how quick the turnaround time is. Because that's not just, we're talking about just the U.S. roster. We're not even factoring in that Luka and the Serbian team. We're not factoring in guys that are going to play on France. We're not talking about guys that are going to play on Australia. We're not talking about, like, there's a plethora of guys that are on other countries that this turnaround time could be the exact same problem.
With Canada.
In Joker with Serbia? Not Serbia, where's
Serbia?
Yeah, it's Serbia. So, like, there are these guys. Now, then again, Joker doesn't give a shit about basketball, so he might just tell Serbia to F off and go race his horses, but... I don't know, man. Remember how he was when the finals ended last year? I just want to go home.
Yeah.
He did not care about the parade. He literally went, we have to have a parade? So...
Man, I just wanted to win, and that's it.
That's it. Oh, Miami is now down by 2. Tyrese Halliburton with an assist to Joel Embiid for 3 to take the lead. So that kind of runs into the NBA kind of side of things. And we'll run into a little bit of MLB. Rangers still holding the lead in their division. But they're basically the same team as last year, except for right now they're in a cold slow up the plate. They're not hitting great right now. The offense isn't hitting for power. A lot of singles, not a lot of RBIs in the big spots has been the problem.
There was... when you got Angel behind the plate, it's kind of hard to.
You can't blame all the games on Angel Hernandez, but they are.
You can blame that one on him.
You can blame that.
Good Lord, I don't know. I'm sure you saw it, but God.
And I will say that, like, right now in their division, they're the only team over 500 because the Astros are just struggling right now. Josh Hader has an ERA in like the 9s. Like, it's been a struggle for Houston. They're worse than Oakland. And the Oakland owner wants to suck. Like, he's probably pissed.
They're going to end up turning it around.
Yeah. Even the most recent World Series odds came out, and the Astros are still, like, top 5.
Oh,
like,
really?
Most people think that they'll turn it around. And it's just that it's an uphill battle when you're already 4.5 games back of first place. I mean, I guess it's the benefit that you're only 4.5 games back. The White Sox are already almost 10 games back. The White Sox are 9 games back of the Guardians in their division. So are the Marlins from the Atlanta Braves. So, but yeah, I'll say this: the funny thing is that most people thought that the NL Central would be probably the worst, or the AL Central probably the worst division of baseball possibly. And when we talked about it on the show, I kind of went with the Twins based off last year, but I also said I wouldn't be shocked if the Guardians were pretty good, and then the Royals were getting a lot of love in the offseason. So were the Tigers. The Guardians, the Tigers, and the Royals are 3 of the best records in baseball. They're doing fantastic. All of them are. Yankees won today to prevent a sweep, but they're tied with they're a half game back to the Orioles for their division. Orioles calling up Jackson Holiday.
I'm showing that the Orioles are half game back.
That's what I meant. Sorry, Orioles are half game back. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then, but that whole division, the AL East, they're all over 500. Red Sox and Toronto Blue Jays are tied for last at the same record as the Rangers, who lead their division. So just to say, the AL West is kind of looking like the struggle division.
Yeah.
Mike Trout hit another home run today, and just so we're all clear, it was a solo. So that's 7 home runs this season. He tied for the big league lead, and I think he only has 12 RBIs, maybe 9. I don't even know how many times they've actually had a runner on base. But they're only 3rd in their division, and they're winning. They're in the bottom of the 9th right now, winning 5-4 with 2 outs over Tampa Bay. So they just might put a 3-way tie for last place in the AL East at 10-9. So, but other than that, Milwaukee, Cubs, Brewers, Pirates, Reds, all playing well. Unfortunately, the Cardinals are playing decent too. Screw them. Dodgers doing Dodger things. Haven't gotten any new updates on Yamamoto in a while. I need to check on him. Sho Umaga, still no runs given up.
Really?
Yep. He pitched another 5 innings without giving up a run. The other unearned run. He gave up an unearned run. That doesn't count against him. So there's some good stuff going on there. I mean, it's been a fun kind of get-go of the season. The Diamondbacks are off to a slow start. overall there. So kind of just touch base with the season throughout as we do. We know that we'll probably take a decent sized break during a chunk of the season. We'll probably do, after the draft, we've talked about going to kind of a bi-weekly schedule because it gets a little warm. If you haven't noticed, I'm chugging tea down because I'm sweating today and it's only in the 80s. So it definitely gets warm when you studio.
And ice water.
Yeah, I was going to say, it definitely gets warm. We're going to have to find the fan from last year because that's going to be needed here by next week. Oh no, that's the heater. We don't want the heater. That would make it worse. So there's that. And then other sports news, Caitlin Clark went first in the WNBA draft. No shock there. She makes less than my wife, the nurse. Just so we're clear.
What?
Seriously.
Dang.
Her salary for her first season in the WNBA is only $76,000. Now, they give her...
Oh, I thought you meant the whole contract.
No.
I was like, dang.
Well, I mean, if you go 4 years versus 4 years, then yeah, my wife still makes more. And that's not a flex. That's just a fact. Like, we all say nurses should get paid more. And... the other problem, but here's the problem I have with that is because the WNBA has that hard cap situation. And so ticket prices last year for an Indiana Fever game went for an average of $60. This season they're going for an average of $169 already. And Caitlin Clark's making $76,000 a year, gets an apartment and a car. She's the reason you're making $100 more a night.
Dude.
That's a problem. Like, that's a problem. Now, obviously, we know that there's years of them losing money, and they're barely actually making revenue points at this point. But the other thing that I saw that was crazy was Cardosa, the big from South Carolina.
Okay,
she was pretty much the only person that could keep Angel Reese off the boards.
And they're
now they're teammates for together, so that's going to be wild.
Yeah.
Especially if they can come in and continue their dominant play together. But I honestly, I don't really care that much about the WNBA, but I do hope that these girls come in from this year's draft class and just fucking light it up because of how we talked about all the veterans.
Yeah.
Well, that and the fact that I'm tired of seeing these veterans crap on them. Like, there's no embracing these stars coming in. So I hope they just own them. Like, Kelsey Plum, especially after that crap she pulled at the NBA All-Star Celebrity Game when she told that one kid to pass the ball more. Like, you're an all-time leading scorer. You're telling someone to pass? Like, I hope she gets dropped by Caitlin. So there's that. NHL standings are the season for hockey over? Not yet, right?
I don't know.
I don't think it's over yet. We're looking here. I'm gonna look. No, it's not over. Is it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8? Okay, so all of the playoff spots are decided. Okay, so it is over.
It is.
Yeah, regular season's over.
Okay.
And the New York Rangers finished with the President's Trophy for the best team in the league. The Dallas Stars were tied for the second best in points in the league. The Stars were fourth in wins. Both the Hurricanes and the Panthers had more wins than them, but they did have the number 1 seed in the Western Conference, and they will play the Los Angeles Kings in the first round of the playoffs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, they'll play the Kings in the first round of the playoffs. I don't know if that's a good thing for the Stars or not. We still have 2 viewers, but I think that's just you and me. So,
well, the last update is Eric Young is watching.
Eric Young's watching. Hey, EY. I don't know that he watches much hockey, so I'm sure he won't come in and tell us if the Stars should be worried about that or not. But trying to see if there's any other sports news to drop in here or anything. We know the Mike Tyson Logan Paul fight's coming up. Is it Logan Paul or Jake Paul he's fighting? He's fighting a Paul.
Logan.
Logan.
I think Jake Paul's the wrestler. Yes.
No, it's the other way. Because Jake's the sports stream, right? Because Jake's Prime. I don't know. He's fighting him.
Paul.
I don't know. Apparently it's free though. You know, it's a free fight.
Yeah, it's going to be on.
It's free on Netflix.
Yeah.
I just assumed Netflix was going to charge like a pay-per-view charge like everybody else does, but no, they're just going to let us watch it for free. So that's pretty cool.
Huh.
Like now, I will actually probably watch it. Like even my son wants to watch it, so I was like, no, I'll just give that a go for that.
I mean, you might as well. If it's free, I mean that's.
Oh, the NCAA made a Wild West now where everyone can go wherever they want, whenever they want, because now they have unlimited number of transfers and they can start the next season at any age level. So if you go to a college, sit the bench, you don't like it, you're transferring. That's what's going to happen. No, don't ever fall in love with a favorite player in college again unless it's a starter because he's going to leave. And if he's a starter, he might just leave too. So, yeah, it's going to be, honestly, what we're going to probably start seeing is, I would not be shocked if you start seeing the big programs, the Alabamas, the Ohio States and all them, just taking the cream of the crop of proven transfer portal guys and your high-end freshmen in high school, your straight out of high school kids, because these are the ones that get screwed in this, are going to end up going to Drake, Ball State, Texas Tech. Like, they're going to have to go to the mid-level Division I programs because that's the only way they're going to show out to go to Alabama. Because why would you go, if you're Alabama, why would you spend NIL money on a freshman who might never develop if you know you can get someone?
I mean, they're treating it like
NFL free agency.
More NCAA football, because the NCAA football is doing that in a way, but there's more players on teams, so to me it's a little bit different because sometimes you just don't get an opportunity for 3 years before you can finally get on there.
And that's
basketball is completely different.
Yeah. No, they're starting.
And I guess that's why I guess I can understand it because you're basically one and done. So sometimes you're like, well, now
the one and done factor does help.
Now I gotta wait, sit here, or I can prove my worth here, and then they go, hey.
I will say this. I think that at the level of guys that we're going to see, because as many guys that enter the transfer portal we've talked about, there's going to be that many that don't ever get to the same level of program that they thought they were going to get to.
That too. Yeah.
And so it's going to be, I'm almost to the point now where if we're going to just do this, Wild West it and screw it, just let them come out in the first year. Let them play 1 year of college football, and if they think they're ready for the pros, F it. Let them go. I mean,
no.
They might. Maybe give them the option like they do in basketball, where if you go to the combine, you suck it up, where they just tell you, "Hey, look, you're going to the 5th round." Then you can go back. Maybe something like that. Like if you're an underclassman and you declare for the draft, you go to the combine and they go, "We think you're a 5th round pick." All right, cool. I'm going back to Tennessee to get my stuff.
A lot of that, though, a lot of people already know that going
Philadelphia won. Well, they haven't officially won, but Philadelphia will be winning. They're up by 3 with 8 seconds left.
Oh, I got them.
Well, maybe not. Yeah, they just did it.
Oh.
Anyway,
yeah. No, I do kind of agree with that, in a way, but the guys in the NFL, they just need a little bit more time.
Oh, I don't disagree.
So I don't like some of the underclassmen doing that.
Yeah.
Because typically those guys in that 3rd to 5th round range are almost always seniors, and
true.
Most of your underclassmen that come out are coming out because they know that they're going high.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't mind them doing the same thing that the NBA does, where you go and try out, and then all of a sudden they're like, "Yeah, look." You're probably going to be like a 5th or 6th round pick.
Especially because we have seen
go back and get your NIL money.
Yeah, especially because there are some guys we've seen that they would have like Caleb Williams probably would have come out last year if he could have.
Yeah.
There's guys that probably would have and could have done it. Other sport news: Scotty Scheffler won the Masters. I didn't watch it. I kept an eye on it. I know he won. Jonte Porter's banned for life because, well, he's an idiot. There's no other way around that.
Easiest way to say it.
Yeah, he's an idiot. Simple as that. Other than that, I don't really think anything else. Man, I don't. Apparently, there was some amazing stuff apparently the Texas Motor Speedway race was this last weekend, and Chase Elliott ended a 42 race winless streak by winning the race.
TMS was this past weekend?
I didn't even know it was this weekend, and he won on a photo, or he won the race over Ross Chastain. What a terrible last name that is. In a second restart overtime on Sunday.
Huh.
So that's what happened there. And I don't have anything else.
What time are we at?
Probably about an hour and a half.
Alright, so
hour 40 maybe.
If you haven't watched Shogun, y'all should watch Shogun.
Or X-Men 98.
Shogun, dude, so this last episode, I saw someone on Twitter go, the Red Wedding has nothing on this. And I went, oh, this is going to be a good one.
Bro, the Red Wedding is so
Bro,
good.
I was so mad. This ain't nothing close to the Red Wedding. It is a good episode.
But it ain't
like,
the Red
good
Wedding.
episode. It ain't the Red Wedding.
The Red Wedding is some cinematic greatness.
Yeah.
Now,
Like, this was good, but when I
say-
saw that, I was all, oh, this is going to be some good stuff. Because stuff that's led up, I was like, if this is better than the Red Wedding, like, oh, this is going to be some good stuff. But I was like, sitting there waiting, going,
I'll tell you what, though.
what's going to happen?
That 5th episode of X-Men in 98,
Hey.
there's some likening it. I could liken it some to the Red Wedding with how some of that went down.
Ooh, that hit me in the feels a little bit.
That hurt. If you haven't watched X-Men in 98, I promise you, one, the entire original series is pretty good. You don't have to go back and watch it, but there are a lot of connections that you would get better benefit if you did go back and watch some of the first few seasons. Because you want to know what's going on with Charles Xavier. You want to know what's going on. Like, there's some relationships that need to build up and things. But I'm telling you what, that show is freaking great.
It's good.
So
It's
far.
really good.
And you know they fired the guy? They fired the guy that was producing it. And, like, then they came out and said, after that 5th episode, which I just don't want to be the guy that blows spoilers on, but at this point, I don't know how many people are going to get all the way to the end of the episode, so maybe it's worth talking about it. Like, they said that after that episode, that was just the beginning. Like, that they expected that level of stuff. Bro, that was an Avengers level event.
Yeah,
Like,
that was good. Like, I seen you post about it, and I was like, oh man, let me go look. I'm like, oh man, I'm still on episode 4. I still got this one plus that one. So I went ahead and watched it, and I posted about it on Twitter. I was like, dude, that one got me. That had my eyes water just a little bit.
oh, dude, I was at work watching it. Like, I'm sitting at my desk, my headset's on, and I'm trying to write an email, and I'm doing this. Just freaking out. Like, it was wild. So
it was a really good episode, and I'm not gonna lie,
but
that one and like I gotta say it again, Shogun, man, it's
I gotta get to that one. I haven't done it yet. I need to watch that one.
I know some people probably don't like subtitles and reading subtitles from another language, but man, like, it is so good. It is
only
very
lost by one. That sucks.
It is very Game of Thrones like, without the fantasy added into it.
Okay.
Without the fantasy stuff.
Which, Game of Thrones note, we are definitely no longer going to have any spin-off for Jon Snow.
The Jon Snow.
I'm gonna be honest, I'm glad they said that, because if you didn't have a damn good story, don't do it.
Yeah.
Jon Snow, I like the way he got exiled or whatever, not really, but I don't want you to bring Jon Snow back and not have a great storyline for Jon, because he's still one of the best characters of the entire series.
Like, you run the ending, just leave it alone. Like, there's
but you know what?
You've got the prequel series.
I'll say though, the
Do the prequel and let that be what overshadows.
The more that the farther that we get from the ending and the guy not finishing the series, the more I become forgiving of the ending. I still think it could. Now, hear me out. Hear me out. I still think they could. They rushed it, and there's a lot of elements to it, but the who ends up sitting on the throne part of things, like how they get to that and how quickly they kind of do that over literally a conversation in 10 minutes, basically. I get a little more of a, I guess I can see why you shit the bed with this, because the guy that you followed all the way through your journey stopped giving you this, and he's never going to finish it, apparently.
He stopped like 3 seasons prior.
Did he really? I don't know how far he went. I never read the books.
No, like the last 3 seasons were all them. Like,
well, then that's
using information
terrible.
from him of like a direction to go.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, that final season, it wasn't that they didn't have information from him. It was they stopped using information from him and decided we're going to do it this way, and we're going to do Star Wars. All right, let's hurry up and get through this so we can go to the next thing. And then because there was such a backlash of what happened, they got fired.
That was great.
So, like, they deserved it. Like, I mean, you don't rush through something like that.
No. Especially when you could...
And I get it because Disney probably put them on a timeline like, hey, you got to get over here at this point. So Disney should have backed off and let them do what they need to do to finish the series.
And I feel like you could have filmed one, gone on, and worked the other. Like maybe it's not much of a time off, but you could have filmed them on rotatings and getting your stuff done right.
Yeah.
So, but other than that, that's all I got really. I will guarantee you that after the draft, we'll probably get a little more into the world of entertainment because we start to slow down on some of the sports topics. Obviously, we have, football, everything's still going to be going on, but we will probably bring a little more of our conversational elements to the table and stuff like that. So, but that's all I got. Are you good to go there too?
Yep.
All right, then, y'all.
Have a good
Peace.
one.